Hello everyone, it's Ned406 here, and welcome to this Rift beta video. It is the beta 6, and I will be showing you the Necromancer class. Now, the Necromancer is one of the Mage's souls, which is like a talent tree in WoW. Now, what the hell is a Necromancer, you might wonder? Good question, but the answer is pretty simple. A Necromancer is a spellcaster that utilises pets, dots, and drains to slowly destroy the enemy. It is an offensive soul, which means it's purely for DPS, but it also comes with a few nifty features that I'm going to show you. First of all, let's get started by having a look at the pets. The first pet you get is the Skeletal Horror, which you get at level 1, as soon as you choose the soul, rather. Now, the Skeletal Horror is a basic damage pet. It can't tank, and it's just a support, really. And as you can see, the animation here is bewildering. Beyond anything you've ever seen in a game before. Yeah. Enough nerd rage. The next pet you get at about level 15, which is the Skeletal Steward. This is my personal favourite. It's the tanking pet, and it does look cool. Now tell me that doesn't look awesome. Yeah, you know that you want this tanking your group. Now, enough of rambling. At a later level, you get an ability in the talent trees called Ancient Tomb, which grants you the summons of the upgraded versions of the Stalwart? What is it? I have no idea because I'm British. Anyway, I'm just going to call them Stewart for now. You get the upgraded versions of the Stewart and Horror, which are the Skeletal Knight and the Skeletal Zealot. Let's go ahead and show you them. This is the Skeletal Knight, which is an upgraded version of the Steward, although I don't think it looks as good, to be honest. And what is that? That little dagger there. Take it off. Someone please. Anyway, the Knight is quite an effective tank, but that isn't the best pet. I'm going to show you the Zealot. Now the Zealot is an upgraded version of a Horror, but as you see, it's been quite pimped out. It's basically a dead rogue that you bring back to life, and it does a ton. Oh no, you're not going to stand in the way of it. Oh, move out the way, you stupid turtle. That is the Zealot, a dual-wielding rogue that does an insane amount of damage. I'm going to show you just how much damage this guy does later, and it's basically slowing mobs by himself, and I can't wait to use him in PvP. Now, let's have a look at the talent trees. In Rift, they've taken the talent trees, or soul trees, to a whole new meaning, as in they've designed them to be just like a tree. These parts here, all of these are the roots, and these here are the branches. The idea is when you spend points in the roots, you unlock spells in the branches. Say if I spent 2 in Deadly Plague, I'd get Necrosis, or if I spent 51 in a load of different talents, I'd get the end spell, which is Mass Grave. I like this a lot. It's very customizable, but without having the restraints of you have to pick the spec to DPS. Now, first I'm going to show you the abilities in the branches, and then some of the cool talents, and then I'm going to look at the roots. First up is Consumption. Basically, it removes a buff from the enemy and gives you some mana back, but it's a terrible amount of mana. I never use this spell ever. The next one is Grave Rot, which is an AoE. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but it gives the mobs a thing called Deathly Calling, which is basically something that your pet uses to empower his abilities. The next spell, Soul Purge. This is a godly spell. This is so OP. It deals a complete ton of damage, and it heals you for loads. Loads. Like, I have about 1k health, slightly above, and this heals me for about 100 every half a second, and you can channel it for 8 seconds. Now that is OP. This is, just get it. Just go get it, now. There are no words. And finally, Ancient Tomb, that gives you the Summon Skeletal Zealot and Knight. Now, what talents in here are cool? I guess the only one where Flesh Rot's pretty good. It increases the duration of your necrosis and damage, and that's like a dot. This one's quite good, Fresh Graves. It increases the damage your pets do, and they do extra damage if they're affected by necrosis. But apart from that, the Necromancer doesn't really have that many amazing talents. It's the roots you want to see. Okay, we've got our Summon Skeletal Horror. Plague Bolt. This is like your main nuke that does death damage to an enemy. Dismiss Pet. Necrosis is your powerful dot. Revivify, which heals your pet. Reclaim Power, which drains your pet health and gives you mana. You've got Essence Sink. This is quite interesting actually. You put it on the enemy, it reduces the healing they receive, and you also get healed whenever your pet does damage to it. Track Undead. No prizes for guessing what that does. You've got your Summon Skeletal Steward. Ah, here we go. These are interesting. The Necromancer can actually heal in Rift. Albeit, it's probably not a very strong heal, but they have two heals here. Life Shift and Blood Binding. Blood Binding is a heal over time, and Life Shift is a main nuke heal. The interesting thing is, they use your own health to heal the target. So you can see where something like Essence Sink would come in handy if you have to heal. Exhume just reduces the cast time of your next undead summon by 100%. Looming Demise. Now, this covers an enemy in deadly crap, reducing their damage by 5% for 60 seconds. You know, you might be thinking, oh, that's useless, but actually, your pet has a load of abilities that are increased if this is on them, so you want to keep that up at all times. Now, the next one I get that I haven't got yet is Summon Shadow Revenant. I cannot wait to get this spell, and I will show you guys it when I have it. Now, in Rift, you get to pick 3 different talent trees, so I've gone with the Warlock and the Archon. Now, the Warlock just has Dot there, Dark Armor, and Mana Spell, as well as Nedra's Torture, which increases death damage on the enemy. It's basically Necromancer and Warlock go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other, you have to have them both. Now, the other recommended soul is Dominator, but I actually gone for the Archon. Now, in your 3rd soul, until you get to a much higher level, the only reason you pick whatever you pick is because of the spells you get. So, I picked Archon for Searing Vitality, which is another dot. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but it increases your endurance, which is basically Rift's version of stamina for any WoW players. I could have gone with something like Dominator for a CC and an instant cast, but I just didn't think it was worth it. Now, that's covered about everything, so I'm going to show you the Necromancer in combat. Let's just summon our tanky pet, get on a horse, and find something to kill. There we go. Now, as soon as you run into a fight with the Necromancer, you want to start dotting up your enemy. As you can see, this is actually taking some time. Ooh. Rare mob. Ooh, he's got a lot of health. This is a perfect opportunity to show you how the Necromancer does. Oh god, I've pulled 2. Now, since this is a prolonged fight, I'm going to show you just how survivable the Necromancer can be in certain situations. I'm going to use the AoE Grave Rot, dot both the enemies up, and then Soul Purge them. As you can see, it takes a while to get your dots up, but once you have them, they're extremely powerful. And there's Soul Purge, as you've just seen, the most OP spell ever. Oh, I've been transformed into a squirrel. My knight's doing quite well here actually, it's not losing too much health. The dragon is dead. What did he drop? A bow and a sword. Useless to me. So anyway, that's the Necromancer in combat. Dot up your enemies and then nuke the hell out of them. Necromancers are quite like artillery. The longer you leave them, the more powerful they get. Now, you might have noticed on the bottom of my bar, on the bottom of my mana, this blue bar, this light blue, that was filling up during the fight. Now, this is called Charge. All mages get something called Charge, which is like the Death Knight's runic power if you ever built well. It builds up in combat, and then you can use certain abilities like Soul Purge or Revivify to utilise this. Just before we go, I'd like to show you the Skeletal Zealot's damage output. Now, what I'm going to do to this mob is put 1 dot, and looming resist. That's odd. Watch how much damage my pet does. Now this may not look so impressive, but once you get in the game and actually realise that it takes you ages to kill a mob, and you realise just how underpowered the other pets seem to this, you will realise how good this pet is. It really comes into its own, especially when it starts to crit. Just try it one more time, maybe it will fare slightly better with this. Compared to the skeletal horror this pet is, 120 quid. I cannot wait to try this guy out in PvP. And look at those animations, how cool are they? Oh no, do not pull the other dog. So anyway, that is the Necromancer class in Rift. A dotting, draining, petting, fantastic class. It's very fun to play. It's slower